Welcome to the Cohn Zone. We're the Cohns, Grant and Lowell, Perry Feast. Name of the show today is why Kyle Shanahan won't let Deebo Samuel get traded. We're going to get there. But first, we got to start with something more negative. The big mess up this offseason with Jimmy Garoppolo. The way you see it, Dad.
Yeah, as an outsider, I see it really clearly. There's a lot of things wrong with it, but I'm not going to get into the whole thing because we've done it a million times. But I'd say the number one problem, because they didn't get rid of him and he was still on their payroll, when it came time for free agency, they couldn't be as aggressive as they wanted. Yeah. They got a lot of players for special teams. But Iggy, I've heard you talk on your broadcasts that aside from special teams, the 49ers are not quite as good as they were last season. They had holes they needed to fill, and they didn't do it because of Garoppolo. That's a screw up. And it's not Jimmy's screw up, it's management screw up. It's a big deal, and it may come back to hurt them.
Yeah, I mean, they're transitioning to a new quarterback who's very inexperienced and young. You'd like to really give him as good of a team as possible to help because you don't know if he's going to be a success. He could be a total failure. We're going to talk about that later. And what they did was, they got better on special teams. They got better at cornerback. They got worse at strong safety. They got worse at nickelback. They got worse at nose tackle. They got worse at right tackle. They got worse at left guard. And they've already said, well, this wasn't our plan A. We expected to trade Jimmy Garoppolo. He kind of bamboozled us with this surgery, whatever. They're on plan B, and it's not a great plan. It's not great.
Who even knows what plan B is?
Plan B seems to be hold on to Jimmy Garoppolo and hope a team gets desperate enough to trade him. I think there's one team left, Carolina. And so Carolina is the 6th pick, and the Niners are kind of hoping, well, if you don't take a quarterback there, you're going to want Jimmy Garoppolo. So I think what the Niners are probably going to try to do is pay the Panthers to take Jimmy Garoppolo off their hands and give him a pick. It's like, here, we'll pay most of his salary. Take Jimmy. Can we have a pick, please, so we can tell people we won?
Yeah.
And so the pick will be next year.
Is, rather than being proactive, they're leaving their fate in another team's hands.
Carolina.
That's really weak. It's a hope and a prayer. I want to come back to my main point, though, Iggy. They need a nickelback. They need clearly
strong safety.
They need a better offensive line because they're going to probably be playing someone who's virtually a rookie.
Yeah,
they could have addressed these issues had they gotten rid of Jimmy. So again, this is, you can call it a screw up, but it's a lack of vision and determination by management. And that's serious.
Absolutely. I mean, and it raises all these questions. Do you really believe in Trey Lance? Is he not ready? Are you not in it this year? Do you think your chances next year? All these questions, and the Niners haven't addressed any of them. John Lynch talks in 6 days, and since there's no first-round pick, I think he's going to have to answer a lot of big-picture questions at this pre-draft press conference.
Here's what I expect from John Lynch. He won't answer anything.
He'll smile.
He smiles. He's articulate.
He'll say, that's a good question, Grant.
Yeah. But he won't. Yeah, he uses names. He must have gone to a seminar and they said, always use their names. Yes. But he's not going to tell you anything.
No. I'm going to say, hey, John, it's been reported multiple times, most recently by ESPN, that Trey Lance has received private indications from the team that he's going to be the starting quarterback. Is that true? What do you think he'll say to that?
Well, we're not associated with the ESPN. I don't know where they get their information from. If we wanted to say that Trey was our starter, of course, we would announce it publicly. And I would be sitting in the room and thinking, I don't believe a word you're saying.
He would say, we have so much confidence in Trey Lance. We really believe Trey Lance. He's got so much upside. And, he's going to have an opportunity to go out there and attack it and compete and like every player on our team. And Anyway.
Another question for him could be, I was on my is this a podcast we do? Is that what you call it?
Sure.
I was on my podcast and I was talking, and my guest said one of the problems with not getting rid of Jimmy is you couldn't address key needs on your team. How do you feel about that criticism?
I like that. That's a good
fair question. I got to tell you, the media, and I'm not only talking about sports media, the media in general has become very timid.
Yes.
Very, very complacent.
Yeah.
You see these presidential news conferences, and basically everybody's always cheering Biden as if he's Franklin Delano Roosevelt. You know what I mean? The only one who ever puts him on the spot is this guy from Fox News. I know people hate Fox News. I'm just talking about as a journalist. His name is Peter Doocy, and he asks Biden tough questions and Jen Psaki tough questions, and they're always pissed at him. But what he's doing is what a journalist should do, to speak truth to power. And that's what I always tried to do, and that's what you want to do, Iggy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Gregory says, good to see you, Lowell. You're the GOAT. Love listening to your takes. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Gregory.
Thank you so much, Gregory.
All right, let's move on. This is the big topic of du jour. Why the 49ers won't trade Deebo Samuel. A lot of Niner fans are getting upset about it, nervous about it, are already thinking maybe they should trade him, maybe they will trade him. Yeah. Can you talk him off the ledge?
Yeah, here's the deal. There is no way the 49ers are going to get rid of Deebo Samuel. If Iggy disagreed with me, I'd bet him $100 bottle of wine on this one.
You tried. I was like, no. I'm not going there. No.
Look, we were talking last night about it, Iggy and I, and it's the line from Macbeth. This is sound and fury signifying nothing. All the stuff that's going on with his posturing and whatever the Niners are saying. They understand that he is the best offensive player on the team.
Yes.
By far. Yeah. They understand without him, they may even just have a mediocre offense. That's how great he is. That's how much they need him. They're going to break his chops, and he's going to act foolishly the way he's been acting, I guess, on the advice of his agent, whoever his agent is. But by the time they need to sign him, which would be like a day before training camp,
it'll get done.
Oh, Iggy, you could bet the mortgage. Look, I've already bet you that Garoppolo will not be on the team for the first regular season game. I feel more confident that they're going to sign Deebo Samuel.
Me too.
What I'm saying is, it's actually not even an argument. They're going to sign him. And from everything I hear, Kyle Shanahan, because he's a sane person, is in love with Deebo as a football player.
I would hope so. I think there's some fear among Niner fans that Kyle is so arrogant that he thinks he can create, that he did create Deebo Samuel and he can't create the next one. Got to remember, Kyle was a wide receiver and not a particularly great one. I think he would have real respect for a wide receiver like Deebo Samuel. And also, he was coaching Julio Jones in Atlanta. I don't think Kyle was so arrogant that he thought he created Julio. I think he felt that he put a good system around Julio and allowed Julio to be his best, but I think he understands what a great wide receiver can do for his offense.
In certain ways, I think Kyle has a big ego and is arrogant. I do think that, and that may be good or bad. I'm not judging it, but I think he also is a savvy football coach and an evaluator of talent, and he understands this talent that Deebo has is maybe once in a decade, Iggy.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the Niners haven't had a weapon like this on offense since Terrell Owens. It's been more than one decade. It's been two.
I think this kid's a better player than Terrell Owens.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that. And Terrell Owens is a Hall of Famer. So this is a big deal.
I voted for him by the way.
I hear you on that. We need to talk about Terrell Owens, but he's the second leading receiver of all time. Like, that's really high praise for Deebo. And I'm with you. Terrell Owens couldn't play running back like Deebo Samuel. Terrell Owens wouldn't just do whatever the coaching staff wants. But one more thing. I think a lot of people are upset, or not upset, are concerned about the way the Niners do business. Like, hardcore Niner fans, they know how Jed and Parag have been. But like last year, Trent Williams said, Parag said no to me. He said, we can't do this number. And I called Kyle and I said, look, man, I'm going to the Chiefs unless you call your boy and tell him to change his mind. A half hour later, Trent Williams was signed to the 49ers. So if Kyle steps in and says, look, Parag, make it happen, it's going to get done. And I think Kyle would do that if it came to that with Deebo.
Yeah, Deebo's going to be on the team next season.
Yeah, lock it in.
Locked in. In fact, I know at this time of year it's hard to find other topics, but I think we need to find another topic besides Deebo because he's locked in.
It's locked in. Really, what he's accomplished, him and his agent, is made himself a topic. Now, we weren't talking about him at all. We were just assuming everything would go well. Now we're just talking about him a lot, but he's going to get the contract because Niners aren't crazy. They're
not crazy.
I do think they're crazy enough to keep Jimmy Garoppolo around, but maybe they'll trade him. Maybe the Panthers are crazy enough to trade for him this weekend and let the Niners off the hook.
I feel pretty sure that I'm winning that bottle of wine, Iggy.
You
that
usually
he
do. When we take it to the bottle of wines, you usually win.
Yeah, when we take it to
Understand.
the bottle of wine level.
To the level of the bottle of wine. All right, we got some questions. Shavnur says, am I the only one who isn't angry, frustrated by this Deebo situation? It's fascinating because of how different a negotiation strategy this is. Yeah, it seems like a peek into what agents think works in 2022 because his other AJ Brown in Tennessee has the same exact agent and he's doing the same exact stuff over there. So it seems like a strategy.
It's a crummy strategy. I think they need a different agent.
Yeah. What does it accomplish? It gets you in the news, but it polarizes you among the fan base and makes you seem like a selfish diva who's not in with the team. I think it's probably a bad strategy. It's
And
not working for Kyler Murray.
I'll tell you something else. Let's say this agent, I don't even know the agent's name and I don't care, has another player, but he's not an outstanding talent. He's a middle of the road player. And then he comes to the Niners and say, would you be interested? The Niners could say, we don't like you.
Right.
You had us
we don't do business with this guy.
But we'll deal with somebody else for a mediocre talent. So I think he's putting himself out.
Yeah. I think that happened with the Raiders and Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper. Anyway, that does happen. Alex Mendoza says, happy to see the GOAT Lowell back on the show. The GOAT! He's back. Keneal says, I'm in my zone, rhyming on a beat from Grant Cohn, owner of the Cohn phone, owner of the Cohn zone. Shout out Lowell, his pops. We never going to stop. Let me make an intro for the Cohn zone. Thanks, Keneal. He's the greatest. He calls into the Cohn phone all the time. That was a nice little rap. I liked it. I didn't do it any justice, though. Little Lord Stewie says, Deebo and Bosa had a better start than G, and is Kyle even still on the gym thing, or is it all Lynch? Jed needs to put Lynch in the doghouse. Okay, hold on. Deebo and Bosa had a better start than Jimmy Garoppolo, and is Kyle even still on the gym thing, or is it all Lynch? I don't know who's on the gym thing. Jed needs to put Lynch in the doghouse. Okay, we'll put him in the doghouse for you. Thank you for the donation. Appreciate it. Hot seat. You're on the hot seat, Little Lord Stewie. All right, let's move on. Dad, what are your expectations for Trey Lance this year?
Okay. I don't have the slightest idea. That's my honest to goodness answer.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan. So fans could say, he's got upside. Don't you love the word upside?
Yes.
He's got upside. And you're going to hear it during the draft a lot, upside. And he's a great athlete and this and that and that. Okay. Yeah. I would say he has the potential to be a Lollapalooza. Yeah. But I have had such limited exposure to him. He played in 2 games. And and then in practice, but you never got to see practice after training camp. So you don't know how he came along. So what I'd say is, honestly, he's almost a blank slate. He could be anything from Steve Young, Mahomes, to who knows, to a washout in the league. And so I have no expectations for him. But as someone who is always interested in the Niners but doesn't root for them, I hope he works out because he'll make them an interesting story for people like you and other friends of mine who cover them. But I don't have the slightest idea who he is, what he can do, and I blame the Niners for that. Again, I've repeated this. When Walsh was bringing along Montana, he had Steve DeBerg playing, but he brought in Joe for certain sets, and he got Joe acclimated to what he could do to succeed and to play in that league. And for whatever reason, the Niners did not do that last season. So I know almost as little, maybe a little more about Lance now than I did a year ago. Just a little.
I'm looking up Joe Montana real quick. The year before he became the full-time starter in 81, he started 7 games for the Niners in 1980. Yeah. He was getting groomed. That's a really good point. I think for Trey Lance, I saw him work out last year in the offseason. So I have a frame of reference. And I would expect he's going to look a lot better this year. If he doesn't, that's concerning. If he looks better this year than last year, that shows that he's a young man who actually can improve, and his upside could be something that becomes real at some point. If he's the same guy he was last year, who's, missing throws wildly high and putting too much velocity on short throws, and then it's concerning. Maybe he's not going to improve, but I think he showed enough in those 2 starts to feel like that's an encouraging showing for a rookie. So I'm open-minded, and I do think he has upside, which is all the reason to play him instead of Jimmy Garoppolo, because I think Jimmy's sort of demonstrated he has none left at this point.
No, in fact, he's declining.
Fair
Whatever
enough.
whatever upside he had is over with, and now he's declining. I have a question for you,
I agree.
AD.
Yeah.
We both agree, I think we agree, that Trey Lance should be the starter from day one.
Yes.
Why have they not announced it? What is this? They've given private indications. Why have they not announced it?
Well, that's my question for Lynch next week. My best guess is that the 49ers are still trying to trade Jimmy Garoppolo. And in their mind, if they officially name Trey Lance the starter before they trade Jimmy Garoppolo, then Jimmy's value goes down because he goes from being a starting quarterback to a backup quarterback. I think that's the reason. So they have to sort of like ride the fence and like do this little dance where we like Trey, but we can't say it publicly. And we like Jimmy, but we're only saying it publicly because we want to trade him. And we're hoping some team falls for it when everyone can sort of obviously see through what they're doing.
Yeah. And how does this private reassurance occur? Do they call him in to Lynch's office and Lynch winks at him, like that, and said, you're the
backup
starter,
this year.
but don't go in the locker room and tell everybody, right?
Yeah. I mean, a private indication could be he walked by him one day and said, hey, better be ready this year. I mean, that could be it, right? Like that could be the whole thing. They could deny it. It doesn't seem like much. And to me, like he's an unknown. That's why the Niners weren't that aggressive in free agency. One of the big reasons. I mean, why they weren't that motivated to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo, because I think they're still, whether they admit it or not, they're afraid of the unknown with Trey Lance. It's their own fault.
Oh boy, it's their fault. If they're still afraid of the unknown, what a screw up. To give up all they gave up for an unknown.
Right.
Ugh.
And I think Niner fans forget, but they gave up more for Trey Lance than the Rams gave up for Matthew Stafford. Remember, and I think at the time, Niner fans thought, well, that's smart because Trey Lance is 21. He's got the rest of his life ahead of him, and Stafford's 32. And okay, well, Stafford was a proven top 10 quarterback. Now he's a Super Bowl winner. Trey Lance is still an unknown, and you gave up more for him. So the Niners got to get this right.
Imagine how the Niners would have played last year with Stafford if they had been aggressive and got Stafford.
I mean, really, if you look back on it, the difference, Stafford was the reason, like the difference for who would have won the Super Bowl. And the year before, it was Brady. Last 2 years, the Niners' choices at quarterback have cost them a Super Bowl and handed a Super Bowl to another team. Only reason the Rams have a Super Bowl because the Niners didn't get Matthew Stafford.
In their division.
In their freaking division. They're like, nah, let's get the guy who's 20 because in 5 years, we're going to really trust him
too. Yeah.
Rod says at Lowell Cohn, would Carmen Policy, Eddie DeBartolo, who signed Dion for 94-95 Super Bowl, give a thumbs down to the front office lacking aggression for superstars?
I can tell you that Eddie and Carmen are extremely careful. They don't publicly ever say anything negative about this organization. My guess is, because I haven't asked them, privately, they think they would be more aggressive. And they had been more aggressive. Like everybody could say, but they didn't have the salary cap, blah, blah, blah. The Rams didn't had the salary cap and they still got Stafford.
Yeah, and it like the Niners have done a lot of good stuff, but in year 6, they still haven't figured out the quarterback position. They're still floundering at that most important position. The DeBartolo and Policy, they had Montana, then they went to Young, then they went to Garcia. I mean, they sort of always had that position taken care of. I can't imagine that they would stick with Jimmy Garoppolo for 5 years, 6 years. And I can't imagine. We've seen enough. You're Steve DeBerg. Goodbye. Let's move on. It's been more than half a decade. I can't imagine them doing this.
Bill was very impatient.
Yes.
He would have had to, first of all, he wouldn't have wanted Jimmy in the first place.
Right.
Never. But after a half a season with him, okay, let's put away the heroic games where he came in and he was heroic his first season. But then the next season, when he saw what he had and all the smoke and fire went away, he would have wanted him out.
Right. Terry, thank you for becoming a member. Damien, $20. Thank you. Now we know where Jimmy is in the offseason. He went from porn star Jimmy to Hooters Jimmy. The fall off is real. He's trying to get all of the post-professional career endorsements he can. Smart man, since his football career is done. Ooh, that's harsh. Have you noticed that Jimmy Garoppolo, as his career is going down the tubes right now, has just landed a huge endorsement deal and he's all over? You don't watch television. Anyway, let me tell you. My dad doesn't watch television, but Jimmy Garoppolo is now like the face of Subway sandwiches. And he has a commercial that's on all the time where he talks about the new Italian sub they have. And he says, it's just like the one my Nonna makes me. And then some Italian woman stands up and says, I don't cook. And he goes, wait, what? And she says, it's a good thing he's handsome because the joke is he's not smart.
Ah,
that's the joke.
So he got a big thing.
Big thing. Jimmy Garoppolo selling Italian subs for Subway.
Love it.
I think there's a future there.
You had a Nona.
I had a real Nona, but she didn't make me Subway Italian subs.
Yeah, Iggy's half Italian.
Half Italian. It's true.
Nona and DeMarco.
It's true. That's true. That's true. All right, let's talk the battle of the personalities. Do you want to lay out two different personalities? And how do you want to do that?
I would say on the 49ers, there are two really big personalities, dominating personalities, Deebo and Kittle. Mm-hmm. Would you agree? Like Warner is a great player, but he doesn't have a big personality.
Right. Nick Bosa has no personality. Trent Williams is very interesting, but he's kind of laid back and he's an offensive lineman.
Yeah. And so these two, in a sense, usually the quarterback is the face of the team, but when you have Jimmy, he can't be the face of the team. For a long time, Kittle was, and Deebo is now becoming the face of the team. And it's two of them. Now, who's a better player? Deebo is a better player. He's on the ascendant and Kittle is on the descendant.
Right.
But Kittle's still a very good player, but they both have these very big personalities, and we're seeing it with Deebo now. I think some of it is unfortunate, but in press conferences and that kind of thing. So the question I have is, who is more authentic? Mm-hmm. The one you see in press conferences, is it the real guy? And I have, as an outsider, very strong opinions on this. Would you like me to go first, Iggy?
Yes.
Okay. I think again, I've never met George Kittle, but I've met thousands of athletes and I know the various types. Mm-hmm. George Kittle may be a very nice person. He may be or not. I don't know. But the George Kittle who presents himself publicly, I don't believe is George Kittle. I think he's playing a part.
It's a persona.
It's a persona.
He's like a professional wrestler, and he's a big fan of professional wrestling. He's like brought the WWF to the NFL, and he plays it up. He's like Ric Flair.
Ric Flair. I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
I wouldn't be surprised if he eventually retires and becomes an actual professional wrestler for the WWE. He's that into it. I swear.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I think about him is he and his agent, or he and somebody, decided this is how you want to present yourself.
Yes.
That not only are you likable and lovable, but you're kooky,
edgy, kooky. Yeah. A little crazy.
A little crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're a 5th round pick. You were kind of just this nobody from Iowa. Now you're a rock star.
Absolutely.
You're a rock star.
They say, hey, dog, all this dog business. So what I think he's playing a part.
I think so too.
He's entitled to play a part. And for writers, that's good because you get quotes.
Yeah.
So you don't mind that he's playing a part.
He plays it well.
But I believe, again, this is total supposition, that the real George Kittle is probably very shrewd.
Yes.
Calculating. Yes. Strategic. Yes. May have a totally different personality from what we see. And this other one is a marionette that he trots out.
Yeah, because the personality that he presents is like the big kid, right? Oh, man, I'm 28, but I still feel like I'm 16. I can't believe I'm having so much fun playing a kid's game for, it's like, you're a shrewd man. Yeah, exactly. He's not the innocent, happy-go-lucky teen. You know what I mean? He's like Tom Hanks from Big.
I love that. I love that movie. That's a wonderful movie. Anyway, I agree with you. He presents as Tom Hanks from Big, but really he's the producer and the director of that movie.
Absolutely. And then you got Deebo, who I think is like almost authentic to a fault. All the stuff that's happening right now, it's like he can't bottle it up. He's just expressing himself, and he's never really seems like I think the first couple of years on the team, he didn't talk much to the press. This year, he talked more at length, and I think it was him trying to, get the contract. I got to be more professional. Okay, I'm not going to have a character, but I'll just talk more. And he's very smart, just like Kittle. So when he would say things, it was very interesting. But I don't think he really can fake it. And I think in that way, he's a lot like the head coach.
Oh, please explain that.
Kyle is not. I mean, John Lynch is diplomatic. God knows what John Lynch is really like because he's so polished professionally. Kyle seems like he's exactly the same way if you around his family or if you met him at a bar. he can't really fake it. He's not that. He doesn't have that much kind of like social finesse to even do that. And he's not even that graceful socially anyway. I mean, if you criticize him this much, he gets what we like to call the red ass. So no, I think Deebo and Kyle are both very, very confident, authentic people.
Yeah. I had lunch with Matty Mayoko last Friday, and he said at the owners' meetings that Kyle, he may have had a few drinks, but he spent a lot of time with the writers. Well, Matty's not a writer, with the media.
Right.
And that he was delightful.
Matty's
said
right.
That he was telling stories, and he was a scream. And again, I don't know the guy. I know his dad. I don't know him, but it was nice to hear Matty tell me that.
He seems like the kind of guy that I could get along with if he wasn't the head coach of the 49ers.
Iggy, if he weren't the head coach of the 49ers, you wouldn't want to get along with him.
We wouldn't spend a minute with each other.
No,
but now that he's working here, we're never gonna be like drinking and talking like that. Like, nah, man, I criticized you that one time and it pissed you off. So sorry. I guess we'll have this drink with someone else.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do a little historical context before we leave. The Niners have no first round pick this year. They have a second round pick, a couple third round picks. Maybe Niner fans' expectations are low of what the team can pull off this year, but the most famous draft in the history of the franchise, 1986, featured the Niners trading out of the first round entirely and drafting like 7 or 8 key contributors. I was not alive. Can you tell people about this?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'm gonna
take over.
Tell you who they got.
Yeah,
and how they did it. Yeah. So this here is, I'm not good at this. This is the 1987 media guide, and it has the 86 draft in it. For some reason, I couldn't find my copy of the 86 media
I didn't steal it. I promise I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
Go to your room.
That wasn't me.
There are no longer media guides. Everything is online now. These media guides were little works of art.
Yes.
And I have saved all the ones except 86 and from all the teams I covered. So let me just tell you, without taking anybody in the first or second round, they didn't draft until the 6th round.
No. In 86?
Yeah, until the 3rd round. No, I'm wrong. In the 2nd round, they got Larry Roberts.
There you go.
He was a defensive lineman, and he was with them for 8 years, and he was a hell of a player.
Okay.
2nd round, 3rd round, Tom Rathman. He was the Juszczyk of that team.
And he's the 56th pick in the draft. The Niners currently at 61. That's a hell of a player.
Yep. Then they got Tim McKyer, who was a wonderful cornerback, a serious starter. In the 3rd round, John Taylor, an all-time great wide receiver who teamed up with Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
4th round, Charles Haley, Hall of Fame player.
Yeah.
Wow. 4th round, Steve Wallace, great offensive lineman. They called him the Big Ugly.
Yes.
4th round, Kevin Fagan, defensive tackle. The coaches on that team loved Fagan. He could move 2 guys. He could move 2 guys on his own.
Wow.
Then hold on. Then in round 6, they get Don Griffin, a free safety, who was a hell of a player for them. And I'll stop there. But what a draft. Now, I got an article, some snippets from Peter King, who was embedded in that draft. So I'm not going to bore you, but this is pretty. The team opened at number 18. So they had a first round pick, number 18, and moved back 2 spots to Dallas's 20th pick in exchange for the Cowboys' 5th round pick. They then traded that 20th pick and in 1987 10th round to the Bills for Buffalo's 2nd and 3rd round picks. So they took the first round pick and went down and down and down.
They traded down 3 times?
Yeah.
Whoa.
The Niners.
That's legendary.
Okay. Yes. Now,
Peter King.
Let me just say, here's an example he gives of what they did for John Taylor, all-time great receiver. The college film on Taylor, Walsh recalls, was primitive. You couldn't tell much. But aside from a plodding off-the-line start, Taylor was a gem. He was a terrific leaper and quick in the open field. Taylor had a horrible training camp, and John McVay started checking to see if he had market value. They were thinking of getting rid of John Taylor.
Wow.
He found no takers, but late in the preseason, someone in the Niners organization advised Taylor it would be best for him if he suddenly developed a bad back. He reported to the training room complaining of pain, and he spent the season on the injured reserve. Yet he continued to practice, and by December, Walsh thought he might turn into quite a player. Now, Jerry Rice and Taylor are the best. This is old, best 1-2 combination in the league. So they had a first, and they traded down 3 times. They had John Taylor, but they told him to develop a bad back. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to tell you the team. It's not the Niners. One time, I was talking to the general manager of a team off the record, and he wanted one player, not on the team for a while for whatever reason. So he said, "I'll tell you what, Lowell, I'm going to announce he has back spasms or some shit."
That's how you do it.
That's how you do it. Back spasms.
You got back spasms or some shit. We're writing that in. BSORS. That's what you got.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I never wrote that, but it just killed me.
And that's the most legendary draft in Niners history. The Niners, they could do a lot of damage in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. I mean, 5th round. Charles Haley was a 4th round pick.
Yeah. So the point is, let's get current. Yeah. So it's no excuse for Shanahan and Lynch to say, we're screwed. We gave up all these picks for the quarterback that we don't really believe in, and they never should have given up all those picks. And now we're screwed. What do you expect from us? Right. Look in the media guide. Look in your own media guide at 1986, and look what Bill Walsh, who was smarter than you two combined, look what he did.
That's right. That's right. And again, Tom Rathman, 56th pick in the draft. Niners pick at 61. Get someone good. Tom Rathman's in the 49ers Hall of Fame. So was John Taylor. I'm looking at John Taylor's numbers. He really didn't catch on as a wide receiver until he was like 27. And then all of a sudden he had a 1,000-yard season and 10 touchdowns. Well, that's amazing. I guess he just needed his opportunity.
Yeah, he was a wonderful player. And by the way, so was Tom Rathman.
Absolutely. Yes. To think that the 1988 team had Tom Rathman, Roger Craig, John Taylor, Jerry Rice, and Brent Jones. Wow. I wonder why they won the Super Bowl 2 times in a row. That's amazing.
And they had pretty good quarterbacks.
Yeah, that guy in the offensive line, the coach, and the defense. Yeah, it's the Niner Nation.
You gotta really have a good quarterback.
You gotta have a good quarterback, but you also have to have a great wide receiver. And that's probably why the Niners should hold on to Deebo Samuel. They got to get the good quarterback, though.
Iggy, they're gonna hold on to Deebo Samuel.
They are. You tried to bet me. You thought I was a sucker.
I'm trying to suck you in, yeah.
I'm not that dumb. No. Niner Nation says GC and LC let all the Cohn heads know the business. Play the kid. You thought they should have played him last year. You just knew they wouldn't.
Yes, I knew they wouldn't, and because I think I understand how they think. But yes. Of course they should have played him.
Of course they should have played him. And now, and we could have predicted this last year. Okay, you don't play him this year. How are you going to feel any more confident about it next year? That's off another layoff. You won't. You got to take this leap of faith eventually. And the longer you wait, the harder it gets, I think. Because now he hasn't played in 2 years. Now he hasn't played in 3 years. Like, when are you ever going to go? Yeah.
Do you know where the phrase leap of faith comes from?
Kierkegaard?
Yeah.
Boom! Boom! UCLA coming through. See, you thought I didn't do nothing.
When you took the class on dinosaurs with Russell Westbrook, I didn't think you would.
That was the worst decision I ever made. Fossils, really hard. They're very tiny, those little things. Anyway, Kierkegaard, I got it. That's 1 point for me. Anyway, that's our show today. Quickie.
It's kind of a short show.
There's nothing going on. I think the Niners are doing this on purpose. They understand that me and you are getting all these views, and they're like, you know what? Let's starve them. Let's do nothing. And that way they don't have anything to talk about. I think it's what they're doing. I think they're trying to spite us. It's not nice.
Instead of signing off, could I tell a Bill Walsh story?
Please do.
And what the heck, right?
What the heck?
I mean, Iggy keeps telling me I'm supposed to get back into life, and I'm trying to get back into life.
There you go.
So I'll tell you a story.
All right.
When he went back to Stanford to be the head coach after he was, at the Niners.
Yeah.
They did great in 1982, but they weren't so great in 1983.
Mhm.
And so they used to meet Friday nights at Ricky's Hyatt House on El Camino
Hold on, you're
in
talking Stanford?
Stanford.
1992. 1992.
Did I say 82? You see,
Yeah,
you
you
got
did.
to watch me. You
I
got.
got you. All right. We're in the 90s. We're in the 90s. Okay.
We're in the
Okay. Second
90s,
City, Stanford. We're there. All right.
So,
All right.
Ricky's Hyatt House doesn't exist any longer, but the team, they would all have rooms, and the coaches would have rooms, and then they'd go to Stanford Stadium the next day and play. So Bill, after the meetings, we went, and he always liked to get a margarita, and I'd get a glass of wine in the bar. And then, he would get tipsy pretty quick sometimes. So the margarita, I think, went to his head. So I said, look, Bill, it's really late. I got to get home because I live in Oakland. I'll see you tomorrow for the game. I said, okay. So I leave the bar, and I had to walk down a long corridor to get to the parking lot.
Mhm.
And it was kind of not a lot of light in the corridor. It was very narrow and it was gloomy. So I go in the parking lot, I open this big door and I go in the parking lot. Then I hear the door open again and I hear feet behind me, and it's very dark out there. I'm a New Yorker, and you get nervous because people come behind you and they, roll you.
Yeah.
So I start walking faster, and this person starts walking faster. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm screwed. Here it is. That, you get mugged in Palo Alto. So I turn around, and it's Bill. He had followed me out from the bar. And he's
To mug you.
Huh?
To mug you.
No, not to mug me. See, he's followed me out from the bar, and he says, Lowell, I got to ask you a question. Sure, Bill. What? And I'm calming down because I'm realizing that he says,
He's not going to rob you.
do you think we can win tomorrow? And I thought,
not anymore.
not anymore.
Wow.
And I thought he's actually asking a journalist. He's Bill Walsh, and he's asking me. And I said, oh, Bill, you're going to win. And not only that, you're going to win easy. He goes, oh, thank you so much. He says, I'll be able to sleep tonight. I said, I'm so glad. Iggy, they got their ass kicked. But that honestly really happened.
Wow. Well, Lowell thinks we're going to win. I guess he didn't ask you that question anymore after he got destroyed. And the hell did Lowell know? Oh, you said you're going to win.
I'm so angry at that guy.
What am I supposed to say? I thought you were going to rob me.
Yeah. Hey, jerky.
All
right.
That's a funny story. Well, that was good. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll be back next week. And when we talk next week, it'll be one day after Lynch Talk. So we'll have talk to talk about.
Iggy, when you talk to me next week, will you be in Las Vegas?
No, I decided not to go. Cancel the whole trip. Here's the thing. The Niners don't even pick on day one. That's the Vegas day. They have no pick on day one. The next 2 days, none of the players that they pick are going to be there. So it just felt like I'd be there for no reason. Plus, I'm trying to buy a house and I could be closing soon or whatever. So I just decided to stay here. Because you know what? Buying a house is a full-time job. Did you know that? It's like every freaking day.
It's a big deal.
So yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to be in Vegas. Sorry.
Oh, so that's interesting. So I'm learning about your life on air.
Forgot to tell you.
I mean, we had dinner last night, but you never mentioned it.
I forgot. You saw me last night. I was barely talking. I was very tired. Yeah. Anyway, Vegas. Me and you here.
Okay. Well, I love you, Iggy.
All right. Love you too, Dad. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll be back in about 2 hours with Jackhammer. And we're not going to say